Zin Evem asks, are anarchists wrong about politics? It depends on what kind of anarchist you mean. There's a wide variety of them. Anarchists have different ideas about both the end goal that they're aiming for, what society they want to be like, and also how to get there. Anarchists also have different motivations. Do they just sort of hate the state, or do they want things to be better in some particular way? And what way they want things to be better can vary. Some people are resentful and angry. Others are optimistic and looking for a better world. Some anarchists want to smash the state. They want to destroy what we have now because they don't like it. They see problems with it and they want to get rid of it. So that kind of anarchist, I would say, is wrong about politics. That's not a good perspective. That's not constructive. It's just kind of hateful against the best civilization that's ever existed, which is pretty ridiculous. There's a failure to recognize how difficult it is to make a good government, a good society, etc., and a failure to value what we do have, what's good about our current society. Some people want to destroy what we have, but it's not that they hate it so much, it's that they have a vision of utopia in their head, and they just want to wipe away the cobwebs. And it's not like they're particularly resentful about the cobwebs, they just want to get it out of the way so they can build Wonderland. That's not a good idea either, but it's pretty different. The problem with that is when you start over, you will make new mistakes. They're not realizing how hard it is to get things right and how much error correction it takes. They're thinking they can solve the problem of error by getting rid of all the current errors, and then we won't have error anymore. But that's just wrong. If they try to build a new thing, it will have its own errors. If you think about the far future, you kind of have to be an anarchist if you have a beginning of infinity sort of mindset, because problems are soluble, and that would include having a society where force is initiated, where there's involuntary tax collection, or suppression of someone else trying to set up a more efficient police force, or anything like that. Without being at all specific about what a future society would look like, we should still expect that our current grievances, the things that suck, the things that cause pain for people, can be fixed. We're not just stuck with them into the infinite future. So in that sense, it's pretty easy to be an anarchist. It's sort of natural, but that doesn't say a lot about current politics. You know, what sort of changes will help us get there is a pretty different issue than just, could the problems be solved somehow? In terms of current politics, some anarchists are individualists, capitalists, and others are more communist types, more collectivist, more thinking in terms of sharing. Some people like property and want rights to be respected, and they're interested in anarchy because they think the government tramples on rights. Other people are interested in it because they think everyone should just be nice to each other and get along and share things, and without the oppressive structures of society, then people would be sort of naturally friendly. And I think that that's ridiculous, and that problems are inevitable. And if you get rid of government, there's plenty of other sources of problem. Like, government is not the cause of error, it's one cause of error out of many. Government's not like causing all our problems, it's just causing some of them. And if we set up something else, that will bring with it its own problems. There's no way to get rid of problems. And things like just sort of sharing and trying to get along is not a reasonable method of problem solving on a large scale. It's not even very good on a small scale like a family, but it really falls apart when you have like millions of people and they don't know each other very well. When you have a lot of people, you need to have more impersonal ways of dealing with each other, which is what individualist capitalist liberalism offers. Don't initiate force against each other, only do voluntary trades. When in doubt, leave each other alone. Those kinds of respecting rights, having property rights. And, if it's my property, I get to decide. If it's your property, you get to decide. Things like that facilitate strangers not fighting with each other. It gives simple rules that let strangers get along with each other. You each get to live your individual life, and you can do shared joint projects and interactions when you both want to, when it's completely voluntary and you both think there's mutual benefit. And any type of greater coordination and cooperation between people has to mean that it's happening when they don't individually see the benefit to themselves, when it wouldn't be voluntary. So that's bad, and that's going to cause problems and make it hard for people to sort out what to do, because you're basically binding them together and making their lives depend on each other, and then saying, okay, now sort it out somehow. And it's better if people just have their own lives and they work together when they figured out a way for working together to actually work. And then in the many cases where they don't see how to work together, they need to leave each other alone. I think the right way to move into the future is to incrementally reform things that are a problem today. Take some of the things that are causing people suffering and pain and change them. And the broader framework to do this within is governments are oppressive and tyrannical. You should expect them to step on your toes and not be very nice. You should recognize that there's danger there. That doesn't mean get rid of it, but it means restrict it, limit it. Limited government is one of the key ideas of liberalism that's really good. Government has some purposes, but we should limit it to those purposes and not have it do any extra stuff because it's so dangerous. And the limited purposes of government are basically preventing people from fighting with each other, suppressing the use of force, keeping society together, so it's not just like chaos and bloodshed. The purpose of the government is law and order. It should defend property rights and help with the basic framework of a civilized society, and then within that, people can just go about their lives and the government should leave them alone. So I recommend reforms in that direction. Some anarchists agree with me and some do not.